noise of the rushing world. A gentle voice, a story unfurled, wisdom from a distant shore, opening a brand new door.
The light filtering through the window feels different today, doesn't it? There is a subtle shift in the air, a whisper that the season is turning a corner. Even within the lingering chill, a sudden bloom of warmth drifts in, softening the sharp edges of the heart. On a day like this, I find myself craving something more than the loud, chaotic rhythms of the world. I find myself reaching for sentences that feel like freshly polished, glass clear, honest, and reflective. That is why today, I want to gently place into your ears the essence of a literary giant, Park Wan-suh, and her collection of essays, even if its truth the size of a grain of sand. Park Wan-suh was a remarkable figure in Korean literature. She didn't begin her career until the age of 40, a time when many feel their paths are already set. Yet she remained a fiercely active writer until her passing. She bore the scars of war and possessed the sharp eye for the hypocrisies of the middle class. But she never lost her profound affirmation of humanity or her warmth. This book was curated on the 10th anniversary of her passing, selecting 35 of her most luminous essays from over 660 pieces. Her lifelong vow that even in a casual piece of writing, she would capture at least a grain of sand's worth of truth resonates deeply in our era of artificial glamour. She didn't seek out grand ideologies instead. She drew the essence of life from a single flower in the yard, a small conversation with a neighbor, or the quiet reflections that come with age. Her gaze was rare and crystalline, in a world overflowing with stimulating but hollow information. Encountering such honest and transparent prose offers a deep sense of sanctuary. As we walk together through the forest of her words today, I hope we can each pick up those scattered grains of truth within our own hearts. Park Wan-suh often emphasized the sanctity of the mundane. Reading her, you realize that the ordinary moments we often overlook are, in fact, shimmering jewels. Let us now begin to uncover those stories, one by one. The first story. Applause for the last place finisher. Until not too long ago, I thought a marathon was simply a race to determine who was the fastest, who would stand at the pinnacle of the podium. But a particular experience showed me a completely different face of the marathon, and perhaps of life itself. I happened to be standing on a street corner where a marathon was taking place. A massive crowd surged past, a sea of rhythmic movement, and the spectators erupted in thunderous cheers for the leaders. I felt my own breath quicken, caught up in the thrill of the elite athlete's speed. But as time passed and the lead groups disappeared into the distance, the roadside returned to a deceptive calm. Most people began to disperse. It was then that I saw him, a lone man running far behind the rest. His face was contorted in a mask of agony. His legs looked heavy, as if they were no longer moving by his will, but by some sheer, desperate momentum. The race, in terms of competition, was already over. The winner had crossed the finish line ages ago, and yet he was running. Or perhaps running isn't the right word. It looked more like he was fiercely enduring, refusing to collapse under the weight of his own exhaustion. The moment I saw him, my hands began to clap. It wasn't the ecstatic roar I had given the winner. It was something else, entirely deeper, more somber, and infinitely more honest. My voice felt thin as it scattered into the air, but I couldn't stop. "Keep going! You can do it! I found myself shouting. This cry was for him, but it was also, I realized, for myself. In his labored, last place stride, there was a human dignity and a raw will that felt more profound than the effortless grace of the victor. I couldn't take my eyes off him until he finally passed me and grew smaller in the distance, never once giving up. In that moment, I witnessed the most sincere form of encouragement one human can offer another. I felt a surge of pride simply to be a fellow human being. We are so often told to chase the backs of those ahead of us, to measure our worth by our rank. But isn't the true beauty found not in the glory of the finish line, but in the stride itself, the one taken when your lungs are burning and the world has already stopped watching? As I reflect on this, I feel that our lives are very much like that long marathon. Just because we are a little slower than others or find ourselves trailing behind doesn't mean we have failed. Through the author's eyes, we see that completing the journey at our own unique pace is a sublime achievement in its own right. To those of you running your own solitary race right now, I send my heartfelt applause. Your existence, just as it is beautiful and precious. The second story. The unbeaten path is more beautiful. Life is a strange thing. We are often haunted more by the paths we didn't take than by the ones we are currently walking. As we grow older and look back, those unchosen crossroads seem to shimmer with a borrowed light, painted more vividly in our memories than they ever were in reality. It is a kind of phantom limb of the soul, a lingering what if that beckons from the mist. Perhaps it is an illusion, but perhaps that very illusion is what allows us to endure the hardships of our chosen reality. If I had made a different choice, then who would I be now? This question isn't necessarily born of regret. Rather, it's a form of respect for the infinite possibilities we once held. I sometimes wonder what my life would have been like if I hadn't become a writer. I might have been a typical housewife, or perhaps something else entirely. That path would have had its own weight, its own specific joys and sorrows. But because I never traveled it, it remains like a mysterious, sun-drenched forest, forever pristine and beautiful in my mind. Yet, there is an undeniable truth this path. I am on the one where I have left my own footprints. The one filled with jagged rocks and steep climbs is my only true history. Growing older means the number of paths available to us gradually diminishes. However, it also means we gain the capacity to love the path. We have actually walked with a newfound depth. I have come to love these winding, crooked roads of mine, the people I met, the pain that broke me, and the joys that mended me. All of it combined to create the me that stands here today. Let us keep our longing for the unbeaten paths tucked away in a quiet corner of our hearts. It is proof that we are beings capable of dreaming. But let us never forget the texture of the ground beneath our feet right now. This path, though it may lack the glamour of the what if, is the only one soaked with our actual sweat and tears. It is the only path that completes us. To live with maturity is to not be swallowed by what could have been, but to use that longing as nourishment for what is. The yearning for the unknown is a uniquely human privilege. We aren't machines programmed for a single trajectory. We grow through dreaming of other lives while firmly living our own. As the author suggests, what truly matters is how sincerely we love the road we are on. The path you are treading today will one day be someone else's beautiful, unbeaten path. So do not let your steps feel too heavy. The third story. The grace of growing older. So many people view aging as a relentless process of loss, losing youth, losing strength, losing one's place at the center of the world. I too feel a jolt of startled recognition when I see an unfamiliar old woman staring back at me from the mirror. But I have found that aging brings gifts that are far more abundant and generous than what it takes away. The greatest gift of later life is the freedom from the gaze of others. In our youth, we live in a state of constant anxiety about how we are perceived. Every outfit, every word, every gesture is filtered through the fear of judgment. We suppress our true selves to fit a mold. But as the years accumulate, that external pressure begins to evaporate. What matters now is how I see myself. I can wear my favorite old faded clothes, spend the entire day pulling weeds in the garden, and feel absolutely no shame. This is a profound liberation. Furthermore, the joy found in small things becomes more concentrated. A glass of cold, clear water in the morning. The scent of the dawn air when the window is first opened. The reliable return of the flowers in the minute yard. These are sensations I was too busy to truly notice in my youth. The realization that I don't need to architect a grand future, that it is enough to simply live the day. I've been given with sincerity. This is the ultimate luxury. To remain curious, even as the body slows. To maintain the ability to find delight in the trivial. This is what I call the grace of aging. True dignity doesn't come from a wrinkle-free face. It flows from a generous perspective on the world and a heart that affirms itself. I no longer envy youth. Instead, I love this deep stillness that has been built, layer by layer, through the passage of time. Life is not a process of fading away, but a process of becoming whole. Park Wan-suh's insight gently soothes our fears of getting older. By shifting the focus from loss to liberation and depth, she transforms a frightening prospect into a comforting one. Perhaps today we can try to find joy in something small, just as she did. To realize that the ordinary things around us are, in fact, immense blessings. The fourth story. The power of a grain of sand's truth. Throughout my life as a novelist, I have conjured countless stories. Creating worlds of fiction was my craft. But I always believed that at the very bottom of that fiction, there must flow a current of raw, unadulterated truth. Grand truths or spectacular salvations never suited me. I simply wanted to grasp the tiny truths found in the nooks and crannies of daily life. Even if it seems as small and insignificant as a single grain of sand on a vast beach, if it is real, it is enough for me. My vow to capture even a grain of sand's worth of truth in a simple essay was a strict covenant with myself. Truth often arrives in an uncomfortable, even shameful form. Facing my own cowardice, my own worldliness, my own narrow-mindedness is a painful endeavor. But it is only through staring down that pain that we can truly grow. I would rather swallow a bitter truth than comfort myself with a sweet lie. A person who lives with even a grain of truth at their core is never easily swayed by the storms of life. That tiny truth becomes an anchor for the soul. In a world full of loud decorations and hollow words, how much of what we say and hear is truly sincere? A clumsy but honest heart ultimately possesses more power than the most sophisticated deception. Today, again, I sift through my thoughts and place my little grains of sand upon the white page. If these small truths can reach someone's heart and create a faint vibration, then my purpose is fulfilled. Life, after all, is the process of seeking one's own truth. Not the correct answers dictated by others, but the honest voice of one's own heart. That is the most precious value we must never lose. Walking through the sentences of Park Wan-suh, I feel my heart becoming a little more orderly, a little cleaner. She has left this world, but her words remain vibrantly alive, standing by our side. Like a tender sprout pushing through the end of a biting wind, her writing offers a perennial hope. We often chase massive happiness and grand success, but she reminds us that the true flavor of life is hidden in the smallest cracks of the everyday. It is in the smell of the earth, the warmth of a teacup, and the quiet observation of a nameless wildflower. I hope the stories of Park Wan-suh we shared today can act as a soft pillow for your head after a long, tiring day. No matter how fast the world changes or how much noise surrounds us, if we hold firmly to just one grain of truth within our hearts, we will not lose our way. You don't have to try too hard. You don't have to run yourself ragged trying to match everyone else's pace. Those small emotions you feel right now, the tiny principles you try to keep, those are the truths that make you shine most brightly. Now, I invite you to quietly close your eyes and hold just one of these sentences in your heart. Let it guard your night and give you the strength to meet tomorrow morning. Park Wan-suh was born in 1931 and left us in 2011. But her warmth remains perfectly preserved in these pages. I sincerely hope that your dreams tonight are filled with a landscape as peaceful and warm as the author's garden. May you have a tranquil night. Thank you for listening until the very end.